I'm Chris McAlilly. I'm one of the pastors here at Oxford University United Methodist Church. And we're starting a new season of ministry in the life of our church. And as we do that, we are talking about how to move forward together with Christ at our center and with a commitment to 5 ways of being. We want to be Christ-centered. We want to be hope-inspiring people, community engaging, character-forming, and bridge-building people. And today we're going to unpack what it means to be hope-inspiring. We can all acknowledge that in 2022, after multiple years of a pandemic, that hope sometimes seems to be in short supply. We're still dealing with the after effects of COVID-19. There's a global war in Ukraine. Our nation has been facing multiple challenges: racial injustice, mental health struggles, economic uncertainties, the price of gas, political polarization and distrust, all kinds of issues. All of those things come together as a complex set of issues, and it make it hard sometimes to be optimistic about the future. I was talking to a college student the other day who was exploring her vocational path, and she said, I just don't know if it makes sense to do anything good right now because the world seems so bad. In a world like this, it can be hard to sustain hope. And yet, as people of faith, we are called to hope. We're called to be more than people of optimism. We're called to be people of hope. And hope is different than optimism. Optimism is rooted in a superficial and naive sense of who we are as people. But hope is rooted in who God is. Hope is rooted in Easter, in Resurrection Sunday, when God gathered up the collective no of humanity on Good Friday, and God's definitive answer on Easter Sunday to the world, to humanity, was yes. Yes, I have overcome death with resurrection. Yes, I've overcome despair with hope. If you believe that God raised Christ from the dead, if you believe that at Pentecost God poured out God's Spirit, then you have a superpower at your disposal. You have hope. The hope is rooted in a vision of what God is doing for salvation, a vision of God's work to repair and to heal and to restore all of God's creation, to make all things new. I want to read a passage from 1 Peter where the Apostle Peter talks about what we've received. He calls it a living hope. Listen to this. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. By his great mercy, he has given us a new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Christ from the dead, and into an inheritance which is imperishable, undefiled, unfading, and it's stored up in heaven for you, who are being protected by the power of God through faith for a salvation ready to be revealed in the last time. This living faith was the superpower of the early church. They went into the world with resurrection hope and Pentecostal power, and they went with this vision of what God was doing to repair and heal and restore the world, and it gave them hope. Now, I acknowledge if you don't have that vision, it can sometimes be hard to get out of bed in the morning and go to work because the world and the realities and the challenges and the troubles can be too much, and they can finally beat you down. But if you have that vision, then you can become an agent of hope. And that's who we're called to be at OU. We're called to be people who are catalysts and agents of hope. And we can do this in a number of different ways. We can focus on forming our children and our youth and college students, forming and shaping the next generation of followers of Christ and leaders with character and purpose. We can do it by equipping leaders in our community, in the business community, in the education sector, lawyers, doctors, nurses, creatives, nonprofit professionals, all of whom are focused on tackling today's issues and tomorrow's challenges with Easter hope. We can embrace the community of Oxford and the region of North Mississippi. We can do that partnering with our neighbors to meet the challenges that we face and to help our neighbors and our community and our region thrive. We can be agents of hope by collaborating with others to find creative solutions to problems in our community like food insecurity or the needs for mental health challenges that are being faced across the board, or with the recovery community to find ways that we can offer hope in our community. We can also be a leader in reweaving the social fabric. There are a lot of forces that are trying to pull us apart, and we can be the kind of people that bring people together with common values and for a common purpose. And any of us can do this. Any of us can be hope inspiring. I'm inspired by my kids and by the kids that I see running around the church almost every single day. Children just have this boundless enthusiasm and a childlike faith that is unaware of some of the challenges that are out there, but nevertheless renew in me a zest and a love of the world. I think of the compassion that I've seen over the last 3 years among our doctors and nurses who've sought to offer care and healing in our community, and also our teachers and our educators who have sought in a very challenging environment. They've offered courage and resilient leadership. I think about the creativity and the resilience of our business men and women who have sought to maintain and even to grow their business, to serve their companies and their customers, and to care for their employees. I've seen it in the faithfulness of those members of our congregation who've cared for those grieving in our bereavement team, and who have offered a light of Christ in the midst of deep suffering and pain. Now, none of us can do everything, but we can all be agents of hope, regardless of what your path is, whether you're a retiree or a college student, a young professional, or a stay-at-home parent. You can be an agent of hope in the world. You can do it by being kind and loving, generous and compassionate and encouraging in your interactions with others. And through those interactions, you can inspire hope. So where do we begin? Let me encourage you again to get out a notebook or a sheet of paper, or even make a mental list of the people in your life who have been hope inspiring. What were their characteristics? Who were some of those people who have inspired hope in you? And then make another list. Make a second list that's your list. And think about the people that you want to inspire with hope. If we do this together with Christ at our center and we all commit to being agents of hope, I'm convinced that we can be a force for good, not only here in Oxford, but we can make the state of Mississippi and our region a much better place.